Hi, this is Anita from Real Estate Crunch. Today we're going to talk about chattel. And chattel is kind of one of these funny sounding real estate terms. It's a bit of a legal term, but it's kind of like one of these things like, what exactly does it mean? What does chattel mean? The chattel principle in real estate, and actually the chattel principle in a legal term, is essentially a movable asset. This means anything that can be moved and is not fixed to the home or property. Some examples of this could include items such as a car, furniture, jewelry. The chattel is not attached to the land or the property, but at the same time, it is tangible. It's an asset. It's known as a tangible personal property. It's a property that can be physically relocated, such as your furniture, your office equipment, your lamp. All of those things are considered to be a chattel. In real estate, chattel can be anything that can be moved, such as a mobile or a manufactured home, or even a tiny house on wheels, as long as the home is not attached to the land. This could also include a houseboat, which is also a movable property. It could include, a fishing boat, a sailing boat, all of those things. Real property is usually appreciated when people improve their homes and their land. A chattel or movable property is often depreciated. For example, a computer you purchase today will not have the same value 5 years from now because the technology would have changed. So it could become obsolete. This is also true of other things, such as a car or a boat. They can start to depreciate over time. A vehicle depreciates as it's used and miles are put on it. But real property or land or buildings can appreciate or increase in value, especially with renovation and improvements. Still, the land must also be on the right location and not in a depreciating place. So even though, land can appreciate, it doesn't always appreciate. There could be, you could suddenly have property somewhere and a junkyard can move next door and it can make the value of your house just plummet. So chattel is basically any type of property that can be removed. Chattel property and the rights to land and building have different rights in the legal system. So basically there's different rights. A car is a great example of a chattel property that doesn't increase in value. Once you buy and start using a car, the car value continues to appreciate over time. So, any repairs or improvements you make to the car to improve the appearance or the functionality do not increase the car's value, unless for some reason, maybe if you have a really special antique collector's car, then that could be the exception. That could maybe go up in value. People want it. There's not many of them that are there. This differs very much from real property, where improvements or renovations can increase the value. An example of this is a building, where features are improved through renovation, that the worth will automatically increase. There's a difference, in how real estate, such as real property and chattel, is treated in taxation and financial valuations. A chattel mortgage is a mortgage for a freestanding property other than a home or land, and that can be used as collateral for a loan. So in other words, you can still get a mortgage on a chattel property, but it's a different type of mortgage than if you had the mortgage on your home. And that's because legally a chattel and a real property are looked at differently under the law. For example, this would be like businesses that are dealing in heavy equipment. They may do a chattel mortgage to be able to purchase new equipment. Heavy machinery has a long lifespan, when it's purchased, and it will be financed as a chattel mortgage. The buyer will pay for it over time. A lot of times the seller of this wants to keep some type of security interest on the machinery in the event that they default. So, they could set up a chattel mortgage for a, heavy machinery. So, something like, heavy machinery, things that have high values, can definitely be mortgaged. They can be put on a loan, but they'll be looked at differently than, per se, like real property, land, or houses. If you'd like to read more about chattels, we have a blog that we've written called What is a Chattel Principle in Real Estate. It goes into a lot more detail exactly what it is. But just as a summary, a chattel is a property which is movable. It is not the same as real property. This is Anita from Real Estate Crunch. Thank you so much for listening. We really do appreciate you listening to us. We'd like to thank you for being our audience and for listening to our podcast. We'd like to thank those who help make our podcast possible, specifically Rico, who helps put this all together and makes it all work and makes it possible. Thank you.